So finally, guys, we have some news from Lumix. Panasonic, it was dormant for a while. Last year, they only released that S9 that didn't really convince many of us, but this year, it's the Lumix year. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thomas Love here from One and Solely, and today we're gonna discuss these rumors that leak thanks to Sony Alpha Rumors. As usual, he has these trusted sources so he can anticipate the rumors to us, and we can spend some time like playing around, fooling around ideas of what's coming, and eventually start setting money aside for that purchase. And so Sony Alpha Rumors, they told us in the recent video there gonna be two announcements for Panasonic. You're gonna have two Lumix full-frame cameras announcement this year, one in February and one in April. And while the very first one is confirmed what camera it will be, on the second one there's still fog. He cannot disclose details because they're not confirmed, but I have my hypothesis that I'm gonna share with you. So let's start from the very first. We're talking about February, probably second half of the month, right before the expo. We're talking about the S1R Mark II that we were expecting because, as you know, Leica and Panasonic, they work together. And while Panasonic shares technology for the stave and for the AF tracking and for the autofocusing phase detect, Leica shares their expertise in crafting lenses, and of course they share the M-mount. And so while Panasonic started releasing the S5 Mark II and the S5 Mark II X, which is my favorite choice, the best bucks for the money, Leica released the SL3, which is the high-resolution version of it. Now, Leica just released the SL3S, which is the equivalent of the S5 Mark II, and so Panasonic can finally match it by releasing that S1R Mark II, which is exactly the equivalent of the Leica SL3. Yet to be confirmed if they're having the exact same specs, because Leica is using this new sensor with triple resolution. You can shoot either at 18, 36 or 60 megapixels. They're using it for a while already on the M11, and then they adapted it to the Q3 and the SL3. And so let's see if Panasonic will have the exact same specs matching that camera, or they will go only for the highest resolution possible, which is that 60 megapixel. Anyway, 60 megapixel, it's plenty because nowadays we got used to having this additional resolution that allows us to go around with one lens only and eventually crop in and reframe in post. So it's not something that I had as a habit because I started shooting with film. You could do some changes, some final retouch also on the film, but not as many as you can do right now with post-production with digital. But still, 60 megapixel and those Leica M-mount glasses, either the Leica ones or the Panasonic Leica 35, will be plenty. You will be golden with a good image quality, high resolution, and color science. But let's talk together about an hypothesis. What spaces are left blank from this overlap of models sharing technology and sensors and image quality and color science between Leica and Panasonic? I see that many Panasonic cameras have been matched by Leica, including the Micro Four Thirds with the latest release of the Leica D-Lux 8. And last year, Panasonic gave us this S9 that was a bit crippled. It has not been understood properly by consumers because it didn't have a hot shoe and didn't have a mechanical shutter. But the only space left blank on the Lumix side from Leica's products is basically the Q3. So are we having a Lumix equivalent of the Leica Q3? That would be an exciting release because the Leica Q3, of course, it has the top-notch technology available for the M-mount in a very well-built construction body. It's a premium assembly, and with the latest UI from Leica, but Panasonic doesn't have any equivalent for that very camera. So are we having a Lumix Q3 that matches the specs? Of course, the assembly will be different. Of course, the UI will be different because Panasonic's menu, it's good. It's not as intuitive as the Leica side version of it, but it's still very good. I never had any troubles with my S5 Mark II X. And so guys, this will be a great add to the Lumix line because the Leica Q3, for how good that product is, it's not a professional body, it's not a professional's choice unless you use it as a second camera. But for casually walk around, for travels, that is plenty. But I can understand that the Lumix version of it, you would go around without any stress from taking around $1,000 worth value for that item. Maybe we can have the same specs in a lower price tag item, even saving 2K. That would be great. That would be the deal of the century because it's gonna be basically a bit more expensive than the Fuji X106. I'm assuming 3.5K versus the 6K of the Leica Q3. So if that is the case, please take my money. I'm gonna put down the down payment to reserve it, and then we're gonna explore it together. So yeah, let's assume that this is gonna be the case. The Q3 never convinced me because I was coming from the Q2. I didn't see much value in jumping and getting the latest release because Q2 was plenty. 47 megapixel was already way too much for me. And then honestly, I didn't need the swiveling rear display and I didn't need phase detect for that camera while I'm using it right now to record this episode, and it helps very much, especially for video. But Q3 never convinced me, especially for the price tag and those specs that were not needed for my workflow. But the Lumix version of it, that might be worth it because then you have the latest technology in a super compact body. Still to be confirmed if that is the case, if they're going for the 28mm or the 43mm glass. But anyway, I can't wait for it to be announced, released, and in my hands, and to spend the summer shooting with it. So please let me know down here in the comments if you think that my hypothesis is valuable and is valid, and it might be the chance that we will see really a Lumix version of the Leica Q3. And with that, I hope you got some value out of this video. If you did, please remember to like it, share it on your social media, subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any videos to come, and I guess I'll see you later. Thank you. Bye-bye.